Please help support the channel by visiting our Amazon store, affiliate link below.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo, and I remember growing up and the Pledge of Allegiance being something we did every single day, from kindergarten through first grade, through elementary, in the middle school. And then when I got to high school, I don't recall doing it. Actually, I don't recall doing it at all, and it never being a problem. So I always find it interesting when there's this debate over whether or not students should be forced to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, whether or not it should be mandatory. I don't think one's patriotism is summarized by whether or not you stand for that, where you put your hand over your heart and you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Or the same thing goes for the national anthem at a ball game. However, that's more of a group and number situation. I feel more people do just out of habit than out of actual love for one's country. Not saying they don't have the love for their country, just saying that they don't get jazzed up to go and do it. You know what I mean? They're not going to sit there and go, all right, guys, yeah, we're here. It's the ball game. Let's, all right, everyone stand, goddamn it, for the goddamn Pledge of Allegiance. Hand over my heart, or the national anthem. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things that we do more out of habit than I think out of tradition. And so when I see a story like this one, I'm just a little bit confused because this woman here was expelled, or this girl, really, this high school student was expelled for not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. And the Texas school that expelled her, it backed the school. Right? The school board Texas backed the school. And I just find that to be such an interesting thing, right? Texas is all about the land of freedom, right? Isn't it? And don't they tout that very often? No, come to Texas. It's the last free state in the union. We're going to secede. And then, of course, they expel a girl over not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. It doesn't sound very free to me. I'm sorry, it doesn't. But here is what the article itself says. All right, so the state of Texas is backing a school that expelled a black student after she refused to stand for the flag during the U.S. Pledge of Allegiance. Now, I just kind of want to point out here that I don't think race has any particular bearing on the story, right? Obviously, race is going to be used as an argument in the story that they only expelled her because she was black, and they're obviously going to draw parallels to Colin Kaepernick and other NFL players, and I don't think that's the right call. I don't think that's the right course of action here. I think that is very much playing a narrative, very much playing a specific aspect to garner a very specific result, and also a very specific response and very specific outrage, and I don't agree with that. Period. I think we should look at this as just an action and a response. A person said, nope, I ain't going to do it. And the school is all like, fine, you're expelled. And then the state's like, fine, we back the school. That's the cause and effect here. Race should not be an issue. But this is 2018 America. It's always an issue. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said on Tuesday that he defended the student Houston area school district in its lawsuit with the student. He intervened on Tuesday to defend the Houston school. Miss Landry, who's 18 years old, filed a lawsuit after she was expelled last year from Windfern High School. The case comes amid political tensions over respect for the American flag. But the thing with the American flag is you can respect it or not respect it. Either way, you have the freedom to do that. That is one of the weirdest arguments that I see, that it always kind of rears its ugly head in this regard. It's like, I believe in freedom. I believe in America. I believe in the ability to do what I want, when I want, how I want, where I want, and whatever. We have that freedom. But if you say anything against the flag, people lose their mind. Now, I'm not criticizing the flag. I don't mind standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't mind standing for the national anthem. It is part, again, of going to a ball game and that being a tradition. But we need to remove patriotism from, I think, a lot of things involving the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't having that be an argument, I think, diminishes any kind of response to it, because people just go, well, you're just not supporting our troops. No, I'm supporting my right in this country to have freedom. Now, you can disagree, that is your right, but again, it becomes this very deaf conversation where people are just shouting at each other, and everyone's like, I can't hear you, I don't know what you're saying right now, right? Like, there's a lot of that. Now, the case says here that school children cannot unilaterally refuse to participate in the pledge. Mr. Paxton, the state's most senior law enforcement officer, said in a news release. The U.S. Supreme Court has repeatedly held that parents have a fundamental interest in guiding the education and upbringing of their children, which is a critical aspect of liberty guaranteed by the Constitution. But I find that to be fascinating, because he's basically saying that under the age of 18, you have no rights. And if that's the case, I'd like to see where that is specifically outlined. I haven't seen where that's specifically outlined. I don't know how someone under the age of 18 doesn't have rights as being an American-born citizen of these great United States. So I don't know where that's going to play in. It says here that the girl's lawsuit against Cypress Fairbanks Independent School District says her right to free speech and due process were violated when she was expelled on October 2nd of last year. I would absolutely agree with that. Her right to free speech and her right to due process probably was. Now, due process might be a harder one to argue, considering that it's not, a judicial situation. It's not a crime under the law. But I would say, and then even many would argue that the right to free speech falls under the exact same guidelines, because this is not the government suppressing you. This is an independent school district, but I don't know if they take government funds, if they would fall under that particular guideline. And I'm sure they do take government funds. So where does that particularly stand? Her lawyer said it's rare for the attorney general to intervene in a civil rights case, saying that the reason he's challenging the case is that it's election time, which I would agree. I would say that Randall Callahan here is absolutely right. And when it comes to election time, when it comes time to gear up your fan base, to rev them up, you're going to want to come out really hardcore on a couple issues. And in this country, especially in a state like Texas, outside of Austin, and this is in Houston, you're going to find a lot of people out there that look at the flag as being something that is absolutely untouchable under any circumstances. And I'm not saying I agree with like her having the, like she should have not done it or done it. It's her choice, I think. Ultimately, I just don't like the response from the school to expel her, and I don't like the fact that the state attorney general is coming in to support the school and expelling a young woman for saying, "Nah, I don't want to do it." I'm waiting for like the freedom warriors to come out and attack this, right? It's like, wait, so you defend the right to go to McDonald's at 2 a.m. to get a double bacon cheeseburger at 2 a.m. because we have the freedom to do that in this country, but you're going to sit there and criticize a woman or just a teenager for going, I don't want to stand during the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, doesn't that seem a little bit on the hypocritical side? Right? Don't get me wrong. Everyone is a hypocrite, myself included. Everyone's a hypocrite, but it's acknowledging when that time comes and then going like, not going to do it. Not going to happen. Anyway, so last year, Miss Landry told reporters that her opposition to the pledge was political and that she was inspired by NFL players kneeling for during the U.S. national anthem, which again is her right to do. If she wants to be political, she wants to be an activist in that regard, that is her right to do, and it's your right to criticize it. But I don't believe that it is the school's right. It is under the school's purview to expel a person for not doing it, for not doing something. How crazy is that we are at a point where a Texas high school is being supported by the state because a person chose to use their personal freedom to not do something? It wasn't like they're on the job. That's my biggest complaint with the NFL protests, that they're on the clock, somebody else's clock. That's not their platform at that point in time. It's not like she's paying money to go to the school. And it's not like the taxpayers would really give a shit. You know what I mean? Like the taxpayers, they're not going to protest. I don't want my tax dollars going to this here high school because she protested the Pledge of Allegiance. They're not going to care. They're not going to care. This whole thing is political. All it is political. What she's doing is political. What the Texas AG is doing is political. What the school's doing is political. And it's all just a mess. It's a huge freaking mess. Anyway, the school said a school official told her this isn't the NFL. True, but it's still America, isn't it? Isn't it? It is. Within days, she sued, saying that the administrators had been whipped into a frenzy by the publicity of the African-American National Football League players kneeling for the national anthem, saying, I don't think the flag is for what it says it's for, liberty and justice and all that. It was what she said at the time. It's obviously not what's going on in America today. Now, here's the thing. I disagree with her. I disagree with Miss Landry for her assumption of what the flag is, for what her position on what the flag is. I think the flag represents freedom. I think the flag represents 50 states, 320 million Americans that are all trying to do what they can for justice and liberty and freedom. That's what I feel the flag is for. And if you have the freedom to acknowledge that or to not acknowledge that, free will comes with freedom. If we start making it mandatory to put our hand over our heart and pledge allegiance to the flag everywhere we go, then it's not mandatory. It's not freedom. You're not exercising that right that people have died for. And that's the other argument there. That's what I don't like is when they use that, well, people died to defend that flag. You need to honor that flag. No, I don't. That's the whole point. I don't. I can choose to. I think you probably should choose to in many cases because, yes, that is honoring the fallen, but you have free will. That is your choice to do that. That is what they died for. They died, or they've given their time and they've pledged their service to this country and its pursuits for you to have the choice to choose to make that call. And when they start moving away from that, when they start choosing for you what you can and cannot do, we're moving away from freedom. We are. Look at, and I'm just going to use the comparison to Saudi Arabia. If you're gay in Saudi Arabia and it gets outed, you get thrown off of a rooftop. That happens. It's tragic. It's terrible. It's a violation of human rights. But that's because they don't have the freedom there to be gay. Now, I'm not saying if you don't pledge allegiance to the flag that someone's going to throw you off the roof. I'm not trying to make that comparison. I'm merely pointing out the fact that when it comes to the freedoms that we have them for a reason and we can express them in a multitude of ways. That doesn't mean everyone has to get along. I just want to again reiterate that point. But the state should not intervene in a civil rights case, and the school should not expel this person for exercising her right that people who did die for that flag died to protect. That's what I'm talking about here. Now, the lawsuit also accuses a principal, vice principal, secretary, and 2 teachers of treating her unfairly because she is black. Again, I don't think that's the case, but okay, fine. Mr. Paxton submitted a court filing referring to Texas state law that allows parents to submit a letter stating that their child will not stand for the pledge. And again, I don't like the fact that that's even a thing, right? That's even a thing. I just find that to be ridiculous. Oh, the parents have to write a letter? Come on, Texas. I thought you're all about freedom and you have a state law requiring parents to sign a permission slip to not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. How is that freedom? How is that freedom of the child? No, I don't want to hear, oh, they're under the age of 18 shit. You're either a citizen and have rights or you're not. Right? You're either born with those rights or you earn those rights through naturalization, through the immigration process, or you don't. You have them or you don't. There's not even any other argument to be made there. You have those rights or you don't. Again, hypocrisy is not something that is uncommon. It's recognizing it when it happens. Anyway, but he says here that standing is not optional for students who do not have parental permission. Requiring the pledge to be recited at the start of every school day has the laudable result of fostering respect for our flag and a patriotic love for our country. It's you, just because you stand and look at it doesn't mean you feel anything for it. Again, it's just trying to indoctrinate them under this idea that freedom comes with that specific cost, which there are costs to freedom, but we're not usually the ones that pay them. And again, the people who do pay those costs do it understanding, knowing that they allow for freedom to disagree with them, freedom to disagree with what they're doing and how they've gone about it. And that is the cost of freedom. That is. Anyway, a 1943 Supreme Court case ruled that students cannot be required to stand for the pledge. But several states have laws requiring parental permission for a student to boycott the pledge. The girl's lawyer says he would be willing to argue the case before the Supreme Court. And I think he would win. If there's already a precedent set there by the Supreme Court in order to say that the children don't have to have laws, the Supreme Court being the highest court in the land, it kind of set the precedent there. So I'm pretty sure those laws might be, I don't know, I don't want to say unconstitutional, but definitely not good. Look, here's the thing. There will be many people in the comment section that vehemently disagree with my stance on this. And that's okay. I want you to know that's entirely okay. We as a culture need to accept that not everyone is going to think like us, but we still have the right to think how we want to think. And that's something that's never going to go away, and I would never argue that go away. All I'm saying here is that I think it's ridiculous that a school is trying to expel a young woman for simply not placing her right hand over her heart and pledging allegiance to the flag. I didn't do it in high school. I stopped doing it in high school. I never did it in college. No one cared. How can you claim to support freedom and to support individual rights and to support all of that stuff that you claim is fundamental to the core aspect of our society, of our culture, of our way of life, of our country, and then back the expelling of a woman for exercising that right? I think it's a load of crap. And those are just my thoughts on this one. I do put it to you. I do want to hear your thoughts on this. Let me know down in the comments below. If you made it this far, type flag into the chat so I know. Actually, type pledge into the chat so I know. And I do very much want to hear you guys' thoughts on this one. Be sure to thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Check back often for more content from me if you guys are interested. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.